something that I think it is interesting is that our everyday experience of the world is based on the existence of objects, on the existence of individuals, like some kind of let's say, enduring entities that continue to exist. But from a physical point of view, most of what we consider to be physical objects are just a series of events that we take them to correspond, to consist of an enduring object, but in reality they are just a sequence of separate events. Let me make you just an example. If you look at a movie, let's say a very boring movie, a movie of a still object, nothing is going to happen. You look at that movie and you have the illusion of looking at something which is enduring, physically enduring. But what you're really looking is something that is changing all the time, because every 25th of a second there is a new frame which is projected on the screen. So you have the illusion of an enduring object, but what is really taking place is a series of processes, of physical processes or events that go from the silver screen to your eyes and then to your brain. The same could happen also with everyday objects. So the spread mind suggests that the world is not really made of objects, but that each object is just a series of events taking place. As a matter of fact, from what we know from physics, objects are just a conventional entities, because from a physical point of view, what we consider to be an enduring object, it is something that is changing all the time. The fact is that such changes are so small that we don't see them. But if we could see anything, a stone, a table, a piece of wood, in time, for a very long period of time, we would see that it is changing all the time, that is continuously changing. So what we consider to be a static and enduring object in reality is a flow of events. However, there is a different perspective about reality, a different perspective which is based on the idea that every property is taking place once. And there's a metaphysical notion that it is trying to explain such a way of taking place of properties, which is the metaphysical notion of tropes. A trope is basically a property that is at the same time an individual. So you don't need to have an individual with its connected properties, but you have only bundles of properties taking place once. So such properties don't need to have a substratum like an object or an individual to link with, but they are taking place. And it is the way in which they take place that flesh out reality as we know it. So instead of starting from objects that somehow allow properties to be instantiated on them, we start with properties, but properties in a temporal and causal perspective. And we can use the notion of trope. Of course, not just in the logical, let's say, version of trope, but embedding the notion of trope and taking advantage of the notion of processes. So the spread mind in this debate would suggest that each process is basically the occurrence of a trope. So every time that a physical process takes place, it singles out a piece of reality with its quality, with its privateness, with its intrinsic characteristics, and such moment of becoming would be identical to a trope and would be also identical to a traditional property.